Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. Excuse me. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, as we've got a new lion, as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, that would be Kamikaze Gilmore. I'm going to do shout out to all of my lions, so obviously Kamikaze Gilmore first and foremost, DJ Neo Shaman, Steve ALM, Anaconda Maltlicker 17, Rhett Priestley, Contrapian, Windrider, and All People Free People. So massive shout out of appreciation to all the people who've joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 Lion channel member. Now we are joined by a fair few people in Discord and G+, including Righteous Force and 10th Man, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Discord. Hello, anybody?
Sound check. What happened to Discord?
Aren't they an enthusiastic lot?
I wonder why.
Well, we're not going to have very much enthusiasm for the housekeeping questions by the looks of things.
We can wait a little bit, chit chat till Chocolate gets here and Arwen.
I don't mind starting the housekeeping questions. Any signs of Earth curve, formerly known as the geometric horizon?
Not from Mississippi.
No, it's geometric and apparently.
No, we only have one horizon. It's just not geometric.
What is it, apparent then?
All horizons are apparent by definition. It's the apparent position where the sky meets the ground or sea.
Oh, no geometric. Even if it is geometric, it is apparent.
If we don't see it, it's not a horizon. So drawing a dotted line to a position when you, ignore a fraction, i.e. the effects of the atmosphere, then you're not seeing it. You're taking a consideration how it would be if you didn't have atmosphere. Well, that's not seeing something or having something apparent. Line of sight to something apparent. That isn't that.
Hang on. Let's get it straight. You said how they would want to see it. How would it be if you had no atmosphere? Or it could be easily said, how would it be if we lived on the globe, but we don't live on the globe, so you got to make up the stuff. Because if we lived on the globe, it would have to be there.
Any more? Hey, Arwen.
Hello.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
No rotation.
No motion.
Commotion.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No scientific evidence of it.
It's going to be tough. It's an effect. So there's nothing really to interact with.
Gets me down when you ask this question.
Boom, boom.
The Cavendish, which is not scientific, and well, LIGO, which is not scientific.
Well, when things fall down and you tell everyone that's gravity, you have to prove what you mean by that. And you only need gravity for a spinning globe, but there's no R. There's no Earth-based Coriolis. So that takes out the need for it because we're a globe. So it's just a name they put on some effect.
We know the effect, but don't know the cause. What's some other explanations? Electromagnetism or equilibrium?
I thought it was relative density, equilibrium, finding rest.
Arwen's cue. While I figure out who's pissing on the G+ panel.
What?
Yay.
What?
Yeah,
Go on,
that's the
Alan.
time I actually said thank you, Ranty. But then it was right after Nathan stopped recording. Oh. Yeah, that
Oh
worked
my
out great, didn't it?
A relative disequilibrium. I can never do it. It's because it's your terminology. Relative density.
Relative density disequilibrium?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I want you to explain
That's a
it.
cue, Arvin.
That was your cue to explain it. I'm giving the title. You interrupted me titling it and then didn't go on from there. So
Oh, you
Cue,
want
Arvin.
to put down the explanation completely, how it works.
moving on. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No, sorry,
Yeah,
nothing
you
for
can.
Dr. Becky yet.
That's just guesswork.
Observe and declare.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
That
The
is
only
your
way
cue,
is
Arwen.
sticks and
Yeah,
shadows.
but I can't see it. It's cloudy right now. But
Okay, it's over there.
yeah.
Hey, that's
And,
a. I can see the sun and you can't. That's the first. Normally we've got almost identical weather, you and I.
right.
Anyway.
Well, it's cloudy with some blue patches in between, but right now it's just cloudy.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, seems to be presupposed based on triangulation because there are these angular relations of all the lights, including the sun. And yeah, they just presuppose, well, because of the angles, if we assume certain types of shapes of what we're standing on in orientation, then we could assume that those lights are specifically in a physical, literal location somewhere. But yeah, in order to do that, you've really got to confirm that they are in that specific literal location. So has any of that been done? I don't think so.
That they are. Did you say?
They are?
Are? Yeah, you'd need
Are?
R for that, wouldn't you? You said presuppositions of standing on certain shapes, and that's roughly translated in. You'd need an R value for that, right? When you're making your measurements with your angles and then fudging them with R?
I don't think it's about that specifically. It's more about the disk presupposition of how the light should be positioned then, with the sun supposedly, 3,000 miles away. And then the ball presupposition where it's astronomically further and actually kind of arbitrary in ways, how far it is.
Yeah, the second one needs
stretch
R.
it up and...
Yeah, the second one needs the R value. I wasn't talking about I wasn't having a dig at the diskers. What do you call generally what is actually in reality a flat earther, a typical flat earther who does hold true to a model of a pizza pie flying up through a vacuum, or they've relinquished the vacuum, but it's still a azimuthal equidistant projection of a sphere from centre out with the North Pole at the middle.
Right, in the snow globe.
Or in a snow globe, or a whole number of other models that we don't hold true to. But I was just specifically talking about the religious rhetoric of a sphere Earth, where you'd need to insert the R value when making measurements to the celestial objects, so that you can apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion and have these astronomical distances, you've also got to have a different presupposition, which is Venus being the same exact R value as Earth. So once you've got all of those presuppositions in place, the most important being the R value being applied to Venus and Earth, then you can use all your derivative mathematics to give you the distances for everything and the motions.
Right. What he said. No, but you're correct.
You'd need a bit of R for that. You just said you need to make certain presuppositions about the shape of the thing you're standing on. Now, obviously, that means it's generalised to both a circle disk or a globe, but I'm just talking about the globe and then astronomical distances to the sun with your 93 million miles. Well, that's all based on R.
Right. Well, the orientation of what it is, what the sun and the moon are over. It's basically mostly about the sun and the moon because, they're pretty big objects, and
Are they look pretty small to me.
They're angular-wise big compared
Are
to
they?
the rest of the heavenly
They look
bodies.
tiny. They look tiny to me. I'm going to be honest. The sun and the moon, when I look at them, they're not massive. I mean, unless there's a load of glare through some clouds or something. But if they're just out there and there's nothing obscuring them, they're tiny. I can cover both of them with my thumb at arm's length.
But I mean, compared to the rest of the heavenly bodies, they're pretty sizable.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Comparatively to other little tiny, minuscule dots, they're quite big. I'd never use big to describe them.
Right. Well, they look really big when you zoom in on them. So,
if you make the screen bigger, they're enormous.
right. But what you said too, that's more about the complete orientation of all the planets and all that. That's where Venus also comes in to determine the size about that. But originally the disk versus the ball orientation and the triangulation of, mostly the sun and the moon, that sets the idea of that specific type of distance, the 3 or the 5,000 miles. How much was it for the sun and the moon over the disk? And the much, much further away for the ball.
Yeah, insert R and you end up with massive distances.
I think the point, Nathan, I hear you trying to make is, since there is no R because of the black swan, that all this stuff is made up.
Kaboom! This part of the model also implodes upon itself when you debunk R with the black swan, correct?
Yeah. You still require the Earth to be a globe underneath that ball of stars surrounding you and all that, in order for that to be the way it is.
Yep.
But you would need...
If it's not, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
Exactly, Arwin.
Well, you would need a physical geometric horizon that we could see, 1.22 miles at the 1 foot observer height, for that to even have the beginning stages of their argument, but it's not there.
Yeah, you're going to need that R value giving you a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. Here we are with Al-Biruni. This is the depiction of him gathering up that data. What do you know? He's got a straight line, otherwise known as a tangent line. And he's got a tangent point. He's got his 90 degrees that's denied fundamentally at the moment by religious globeheads. They're presupposing this R value and inserting it everywhere.
Can I say something on this picture? Can you keep it on this picture for a minute?
Sure.
All right. So now I have yet to buy my sextant, which I'm going to buy eventually. I mean, just waiting for the right time. And I'm probably going to either take a course on it or go with a navigator that a friend of mine knows and have him teach me. So, but when I look at this and my cursory investigation of how sextant works, get back that picture. All right, so here we got Al-Biruni on top of a mountain, A, and then C to the center of the ball here. Now, in an actual sextant navigation, you have to take account for dip. So he would have to minus his height from B, which is the level Earth under him. So if he did that, that whole right angle, the way it is, AC to the radius would change. So it could only work on the flat Earth. The sextant could only work on the flat Earth because it's at 0. The horizon has to be at 0, and the dip adjustment brings it to 0. You see, and then you've got the the zenith, which is the other straight line, right above you at 90 degrees. So then that's how you get an angle between the two straight lines, the vertical and the horizontal. So a sextant could only work on a flat surface, and they even have to convert it by the dip correction to make it work.
I think we can skirt past the any evidence of the R value. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Only seismic waves, which they got wrong at 12 miles.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press on, much like the one on screen with Druidia's container and a metaphorical sky vacuum that couldn't create a differential between this if it was our sky vacuum? You see, if we didn't have this barrier, in Druidia's terms, between us and the sky vacuum, the gas would fill the space. So without this container, which we don't have on Earth, this is Druidia, by the way, it's not Earth. It's a made-up planet in Spaceballs with a sky vacuum mega-made. Well, the sky vacuum mega-made, which is a load of nonsense, she can't create differential pressure between her and a sky vacuum, now can she? But there we go. She's still got to suck it out from the container holding in the gas pressure. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Well, it's a great question. Go on.
Oh, go.
No, I was just going to say it's a great question because it's to demonstrate gas pressure, you always have to have a container. We have gas pressure, so the necessary antecedent for gas pressure is containment.
What's their explanation that because of the different layers that it thins out, so the pressure gets lighter and lighter and higher and higher?
No, their explanation is as follows. The second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth. And the reason it doesn't apply to the Earth is because the second law of thermodynamics is being used when describing the laws of entropy applicable with an isolated system. And because the Earth in their heliocentric model is not an isolated system, it does not apply that this law of nature applies to their model. So they would assert that the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply because it only applies to isolated systems. Now, isolated systems do not exist at all in nature. They're used to simplify the description of entropy. That law being the second law of thermodynamics. The entropy law, one and the same thing. The second law of thermodynamics is the entropy law. Now, entropy can be just absolutely demonstrated with open and closed systems. You can show, as we have done, a vacuum in one container and gas in another, and you opening up one system to the other and the gas filling the space. In demonstration, that would be a closed system with a valve opening up the systems to each other. Now, because this is, according to them, only applicable to an isolated system, they then have to deny that we've got a demonstration of it with a closed system. If it applies to closed systems, suddenly it does apply to their Earth, therefore the gas would fill the space. So in reality, natural laws do apply to Earth. They can't apply to the model of a sphere Earth because the sphere Earth violates natural law. You can't have a sky vacuum in reality. The gas we're all breathing would vacate into the sky vacuum. We would reach equilibrium and have 10 to the minus 17 torr, in other words, an almost perfect vacuum, at sea level. The gas would fill the space if the sky was a vacuum. The sky vacuum being outer space being fake, a place that is not real. And if you can't travel to this place they claim to travel to take pictures, then their pictures are automatically fake also, as are any claims of any journeys that have been taking place in this fake place. If they're claiming spaceships can travel through the air we're breathing, go past the air we're breathing into a vacuum, so their little tin can travel into the vacuum, but the gas just waves goodbye as they go past it. No, it would all be travelling along with them into the sky vacuum if there's no containment. And they can't have containment, they've got rockets travelling into the sky vacuum. So it's just a nonsense fantasy world where they have TV, made-for-TV movies from a company called NASA that aren't creating anything from an actual place. It's just theatre and high wire and magic tricks, because the place they're claiming to be doesn't exist. Outer space is fake. You can't have a sky vacuum. The gas we're breathing would fill it. It's entropy, a law of nature, described with isolated systems to make it nice and easy for you to understand in the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, because the atmosphere that they say extends out to the moon, like that would break down or equalize, and the layer under that would equalize and keep breaking down, breaking down.
Doesn't matter how far they push out the gradient. So Voyager travelled past that gradient to the edges of it and then waved goodbye to the gas pressure that was burning its brow at the equator line that we would have if the radius value is based on the black swan imagery, also known as the begging the question orbital path of the moon. Well, if you've got the gas pressure extending out to the orbital path of the moon, Voyager's waving goodbye to rebellious gas particles that aren't carrying on to fill the void of space. It makes absolutely no difference where they push the gradient. Without the container, there can be no pressure in the first place.
That's a most recent statement of theirs, that the atmosphere extends to the moon, because when I was in school, it didn't go that far. So it must have changed.
Nothing's changed in reality. A model, something you will reify into claiming is your world, you can change just by moving a few numbers around and having a justifiable story to go along with it, a justifiable reason why you were wrong in the first instance. When you're supposed to be describing reality, well, you can't. The map is not the train. These models are irrelevant. Saying that the gas extended up to the Kármán line potentially, and then extended out to the moon potentially, and then extended out to Venus potentially, it doesn't matter where they extend to. It's just numbers on a model. In reality, though, we have natural law, inviolable, and that natural law dictates that without the container there would be no pressure. The gas would fill the space. We've demonstrated it. This is violated by a black area being a vacuum, and these clouds, for example, the vapour that's produced these clouds, that is high pressure, and that high pressure is right next to low pressure in their fantasy of a sphere Earth in a vacuum. No, this black area, a vacuum, that's an area that the gas could fill, and that's what gas does. It expands at high speeds in all directions. That's what gas pressure is. It's force when pressing. And what's it pressing on? Well, a vacuum. Well, gas pressure can't press on a vacuum. It disperses into vacuums, and all of this claim to be pressure next to a vacuum in this stupid picture of a blue marble in a sky vacuum is just a fantasy that they claim to have taken from a place that doesn't exist. This place, where they claim there's bending of fabrics that we never see, only existing in the mind's eye of people like Einstein. This area, this space-time area, that's a vacuum, according to them. And we've got, clouds whirling around at high pressure, not dispersing into a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum? No, that's how the laws of nature dictate that gas would absolutely behave. We wouldn't have any gas anymore. It would all fill this area.
Amen.
That actually rounds out the housekeeping questions, does it not?
I think so.
Cool. I can chill out now. 23 minutes in. Put my feet up.
Is that Rumpus's head?
It is indeed. He's just beyond the... He's there to demonstrate what the geometric horizon would be. So, the bit that's obscuring the rest of his body, that's the physical sphere edge horizon.
What got me is like, never seen a satellite. They say they can zoom into millions of miles away, but they can't zoom into cities sticking out sideways. I've always wanted to see that, but now I know why.
See if we can get a word out of Chemo today. Hey, Chemo, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello. Good afternoon.
Long time no speak. How are you doing?
Not bad. Just listening to the arguments, really. I mean, it's just amazing how the ball earthers have just completely given up with this question. I've been just trying to go over the road. They just don't want to get into it. They can't explain how the horizon is just constantly shifting from A to B to C. It's such a strong argument, yes. But I keep probing, keep asking, and they seem to think refraction of some kind.
The horizon is refracted, it's not geometric.
This is what I'm trying to explain. They seem to think this light, this refracted light, is physical. They jump back between physical and apparent. So they're stuck. They literally are stuck. It's
That's
just
right.
a matter. I mean, I would like to take this forward, like to, if obviously when this quarantine thing's over, and try to just push this to the highest institutions and have them answer this question, because it is such a strong point. Have you thought about taking this, I don't know, to the media, or I don't know, just something where this can be, because it's not just like flat Earth now. It's such a strong argument to debunk the globe, their model, their geometry. So I'm just eager to get this out there.
The
Timo,
first step,
this is what their higher education teaches.
the first step is to get everyone to understand it on our side at least. So in terms of that, it's going to take probably another 10 months before we're at that stage. But you're ahead of the curve here, Kimo. I've said this before. With this argument, you're battering people and you know it. But not everyone's at that stage yet, I'm afraid. You might not have realised that.
I think they get it by now. I think now they're just. I mean, because usually they would have come up with an answer which they know is not refraction. So I think now, again, they're just in shock. I think the ball earthers really get this argument more than they like to let on.
I think you're wrong. Okay, let me just do a quick shout out to Emma UK. I missed your super chat from yesterday as well, Emma UK. So I'm really sorry. I must have just rounded out as you super chatted yesterday. So thank you very much indeed for your support. And your message should have been read out also from yesterday's super chat, which was in regards to the kind of crap you're getting as a female member of Flat Earth. And yeah, you're right. There's a lot of crap that the women in this little corner of the internet get, and you're one of them. There's other women who've come and are a part still of this arena that have had unbelievable, horrendous amounts of crap. So it's something that you're trying to draw attention to, and I'm more than happy to bark that and bang that drum for you, because, yeah, the women in this arena do get treated like crap. There's hardly any of them, and I can see why, because the ones that do hang around or make their voices heard get treated very badly. So I just want to shout out Emma UK. She also runs a show. She has a Discord server. She does a very good job. I've listened to her show. She has some great discussions on there. Bev's been on there loads. He promotes her when he's out doing his discussions and has had me plug her show when he's asked me to plug him. So yeah, go and check out Emma UK, and thank you very much indeed for the support.
Yeah.
You should make me a mod on your channel so I can plug in these channels that you plug.
I don't know if you. I will do. I'll figure it out at a later date. I'll do admin some other time, not when the live show's on.
Gotcha.
I've heard some, like gas pressure is different to atmospheric pressure. What? Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, sorry.
on that?
Just before I just want to point. So, what they're going through is for me a cognitive dissonance. So, they have two opposing beliefs here. They know that the horizon is not physical, as we've pointed out. They know it's not a physical horizon. It's apparent, it's light, it's refracted, whatever. And they have another belief that geometry, which is physical, deals with only the physical, and tells them that the Earth is curving. So that's why they can't get past this point, because if what we're saying is true, which it is, then they have to go with all these other ideas about the whole model, about space, everything they have to consider all these other things. So they're holding two beliefs, and I think that's probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks that they have.
Yeah,
Nathan, that's why they.
Happy coincidence.
Yeah.
Spurs, it's on screen right now. When you say two beliefs, it's nice with the Black Swan because it's even easier. You can give people a visual depiction of what specifically they have two of. So when Rumpus was on yesterday, it's like, well, there's just two things. You don't understand these two things. No, these two horizons. Yeah? Mm-hmm. One, to do geometry, that would be one we don't see. It's got a straight line. This is a tangent. This point that it meets the edge of this curve that you're presupposing with an R value, that would be the tangent point. And it's R. It gives you your R value. That's what gives you this physical geometric sphere edge horizon. The R value. That's where it is. In the models, it's marked with an X and labelled horizon. It's this straight line. It's this tangent point. It's the claim that we've got physical earth curve blocking boats and buildings. That's what this line is here. Now, according to these fundies, no, that's the location of the geometric horizon. The apparent horizon's got this donkey dick drawn to it. So we do not see the required physical geometric horizon with a straight line tangent to it. We don't ever see that. We'd only ever see that if the sky vacuum, represented by this white area here, sucked out all of this gas pressure that's at high pressure not dispersing into the vacuum. Then we'd see this geometric horizon, but only then. But given that we never see this straight line tangent to a physical sphere edge claiming to prove we're on a sphere, we're going to use this that we never see to then do donkey dick geometry to something we don't see. Because that's going to make sense. We're not going to draw a tangent to here anymore. No, we'll draw a straight line to something we don't see and a bent line to something that we apparently see as refraction. Well, then we haven't got geometry. We can't do the maths anymore. We haven't got two horizons, one we don't see, because if we don't see it, it's not a horizon. Now, their alma mater in this regard is Andrew Thomas Young, and he's telling people that when you're looking at this place that is only capable of thought, let's consider having no refraction. So we're in a thought experiment where we think about not having any air. And when we think about not having any air, he then lies to his audience by double speaking them and saying we've got line of sight to the apparent horizon. Well, if it's apparent, we'd see it. But we're doing a thought experiment with no refraction, no atmospheric effects, no atmosphere. How can we have something apparent if it's only in existence when we imagine it? How can we draw a line of sight to something that only exists when we're doing a thought experiment, when we've got no refraction going on? Well, we can't. We don't have line of sight. This is how they've lied to you. Lied to you to give you two horizons, to come here so we can humiliate you and point out that we only have one horizon. It's just not geometric, and your model has an absolute fundamental requirement for a geometric horizon, especially given that you're going to claim it's blocking boats and buildings. So your model's based on and requires an R-based geometric horizon, and we're never going to see it. It only exists in the model. We've only got one horizon, not two, and the horizon we see isn't the one you're claiming proves Earth's a sphere. Game over, Globe. The Black Swan rides again.
Yay.
Precisely. And again, this is where they break down, because even though they shouldn't be asking this question, they'll ask things like, well, how does the sun disappear then bottom up like this? How are ships, mountains? They ask what's obscuring. And again, unless we can measure that directly, well, that question is just a question that's in the air without a measurement. Who can answer that question? And I'm just thinking of some of the guys, some of the born earthers that I speak to. They ask, well, what's the obstruction? And if they want it to be of physical nature, well, then we would have to be able to measure that physical edge, as you put it, the physical horizon there, the geometric horizon. They simply don't have that. So there's literally no measurement, no geometry, there's no science. What I'd like to know exactly what makes them believe that this Earth is a globe, as they put it.
Because they're being told it as a religious assertion from priests.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely seems that way. I mean, that question should be for the Ball Earther. Is it a religious belief? If it's not a religious belief, then obviously one should be able to show that it's not religion. This is something that we have absolute data for, measurements, repeatable. We don't have that. So it can be nothing more than what Nathan's just said. It has to be a belief, and a religious one at that, because they seem to worship this idea without any evidence to back it up whatsoever.
Yeah, and they don't have two horizons. To demonstrate their belief, to prove it as not being a religion, you've got to show me that we've got two horizons. One we don't see that all your maths is based on, and one we see that isn't geometric. Well, we don't. If it's a horizon, we see it. So you're not going to draw straight lines to something we don't see and call it a horizon and start doing geometry with mathematical consideration after removing atmosphere and drawing line of sight to something we don't see. It's all nonsense. Just way of begging the question, inserting an R value and having a position that moves daily with the weather asserted to be a physical geometric sphere edge when required.
Well, their get out card, hang on, their get out card is refraction. But Andrew Thomas Young says that his refraction studies are on a plane surface. But we know the Earth isn't flat. So now they have to take the refraction that they get off of a flat surface and convert it to match their religion of a sphere. So even their refraction argument has a caveat to it, which is it's all the refraction things that we have is done on a plane surface. But because I really believe the Earth isn't flat, I've got to make it work on a sphere. You see,
right.
They're wrong both ways.
And the beauty of this as well is that we can review and go over every observation where we have obstruction. Doesn't matter what the obstruction is or what is being obstructed. If the glober believes that that is a physical obstruction, well, then we have a conversation, because now they can say, well, yeah, this from my observational point, this is how far that physical horizon is, and this is how we know how much is hidden. I don't know if you remember those images where they used to put the flashing image of what should be hidden and what shouldn't be seen. They don't use that anymore because that is strictly geometry, not atmosphere. So it would be worth reviewing some of those old images where Rumpus would say, look, this is what the bottom, this is where it should be. This is where the building would be if this horizon.
Yeah. It's well worth looking back on those times they said, look, the reason you're missing 30 feet, in other words, they qualify with the geometric sphere edge horizon assumption based on R, that they have a physical blockage of the horizon. And then say, hang on a second, this horizon's not a physical geometric sphere edge. We do not see the geometric horizon. That would only be there if you removed all the atmosphere. You're taking into consideration that you've got this model, and we've debunked it. The black swan image demonstrates beyond all certitude that we do not have a geometric horizon, and that's exposed this part of the rhetoric, where they declare that they don't have it. They'll also say that it's apparent and you've got line of sight to it, but it's only when you're doing a little thought experiment of removing the atmosphere. That's not what Al-Biruni did, I might add. So this is all kind of the web of lies exposing itself, starting to come apart at the seams, because we don't have two horizons, and that's where we've reached in the argument. We've got Andrew Thomas Young making declarations of a horizon that they're going to make geometric considerations with, the one Al-Biruni measured, and one that exists in reality that we're going to draw a bent line to. Well, he's not going to be doing geometry then, because he'd need a physical tangent point, the one that's blocking the buildings, or was. And like you're saying, let's go back and have a little look and a little laugh when they used to tell us that the physical sphere edge was blocking stuff, because it isn't. It's just a thought experiment. It's just a religious belief.
It's almost like we're kicking ourselves now, because if we understood this argument from Isle of Man or way before, that they were arguing that this to be the physical horizon, if we understood what we were actually saying or what was being put forward, this could have been ended a long time ago. It just seems now, we've been caught up in this period where we can't take this argument forward to the levels that we want it to. So it's just unfortunate, like I say, we should be reviewing every single...
I was about to agree with you, because I've said exactly that before. I was like, when the penny dropped for me about the Black Swan, I'm like, my God, the amount of time we wasted on the Isle of Man, we could have cut through that crap in an instant if we'd have understood that they're not drawing any tangent lines, that every time they say the word refraction, they're doing donkey dick geometry, and it's not geometry anymore, but they're still asserting a physical blockage, a physical sphere edge horizon getting in the way, the things in the distance being loomed up and with respect to it. as Rumpus, to quote Rumpus. You know it's looming because of its position with respect to the horizon, end quote, the Rumpus. So as soon as you say, oh, well, hold on a second, if we're dealing with refraction, then we do not have a geometric horizon. How are you going to draw a tangent line? Suddenly that would be the end of the argument for the model, because you can't draw tangent lines to something physical anymore. It doesn't work both ways. You haven't got two horizons, and the horizon they're drawing a tangent line to would be a physical one, non-geometric, geometric, non-refracted. So you can't have it both ways, lads. Suddenly the model falls apart. And hold on, just let me get to the end. And when Al B came in, this is available to members early, so it'll go out on Saturday to non-members on my second channel. But if you're a member on this channel, you can watch it now. But that argument with Alan B, me getting furious in the live show, followed by arguing with Rumpus, with him telling us we don't understand these two positions, meaning two horizons, that was why I got so angry with him. Yeah, if I'd have known all along that you don't have a geometric horizon, you can't draw a tangent line to this physical point you're claiming's blocking the Isle of Man, where's the beach, I would have cut through that crap in an instant. It was just religious chanting, it was rhetoric, based on a model side-on Muppet vision, begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculators, an assumption of R, and a position we don't have, ever, can't see, suddenly being a position that's blocking the Isle of Man with stuff refracted. Makes no sense, it would have fallen by the wayside if we'd have known, hence me getting so angry at them. How dare they come here for this amount of time to argue for a year solid that we've got a physical sphere edge when it's a bloody thought experiment?
The amount of times Rumpus would draw diagrams saying, look, here is your physical horizon and this is the object looming over it. And we were just getting absolutely frustrated and saying, no, we're actually looking at the object here, we're seeing in a straight line. He's like, no, this is where your observation, your height, this is where the horizon is. And this is how much refraction the object is looming. And we got into all kinds of super lumen and hyena, all that kind of. It's unbelievable that we actually went through. I feel like it's unbelievable. But yeah,
right.
Recognize this early on. Yeah, go ahead.
But even though you can look back, there's an echo here. Someone's line open. Even though you can look back and say, wow, we could have nipped this at the bud earlier. What it did allow is for them to make a claim that we now could go back to that's been recorded, because now they're saying the exact opposite and using our argument of perspective. So it's better in a sense because they have already said one thing about it. Now they have to say what we were saying to them at the time, which is perspective. It's all optical. So they're in more of a hurt because of those past shows. So there's two ways to look at this.
The other thing, Spurs, when you said when they were talking about looming and detailing how much things were moving with respect to the horizon, end quote, Rumpus, 2017, they weren't necessarily going through the actual moving of the horizon that they're going to draw a tangent line to. They just said looming as a bait and switch. So when they said looming, that's an actual atmospheric effect. Well, looming is something you can see, you can detail, you can define, but terrestrial refraction is not looming. Terrestrial refraction is 7/6 of the R value that gives you a geometric horizon. X marks the spot, labelled horizon in side view, not that you ever see a horizon as a single X. It's a line where the sky appears to meet the ground or sea. But in their model, it's side-on with you seeing your own head when you're comparing it to photos, drawn to a point that's based on the R value, radius. Now, if you haven't got it, you haven't got it. Now, a real sphere's got a horizon, a geometric horizon, like this one demonstrated by Mr. Sensible. So this is actually a sphere edge horizon, and that's always going to be there no matter what you do. It's going to be the default position if you're actually standing on a sphere. It's going to look curvy, and it's going to obscure things. It's not going to appear 10 miles behind the thing it's obscuring. This line is never going to become the horizon for this ball. That's a geometric impossibility, and that's what we have in the form of the black swan. And the only way around it is to say, well, we never see the geometric one ever. All that time we spent arguing about how much it got in the way of the Isle of Man, that's all complete nonsense, obviously. Just basing our thought experiments and then making geometric assertions from there on in, using a reification of a side-on view of a model that we don't live on.
Well, if everything is refracting, as they say, how come we see this one on the ball? Why isn't that refracting?
Yeah, it's an actual ball with an actual geometric horizon. If we were actually on a globe Earth, if we were actually standing on a ball, you wouldn't need to consider the atmosphere as disappearing to see a physical sphere edge. It would be blocking stuff all the time. It wouldn't be the case that on a certain day you might see a mirror line raising up with a load of wavy distortion because there's a load of shit in the air. And then on the clearest day possible, we've got the highest levels of refraction. It's the biggest inversion ever. Oh, look, it's a crystal clear day. No, says the globe head. We've got high levels of super looming non-standard refraction that day to make it look flat.
I think it'd be easy for everyone to know if you were standing on the sphere.
I like Kimo's, like, where do we go from here? Where do we take these arguments? You know, like the media and stuff. But I think it can only go so far until, you know, they shut it down, because, you know, what we're up against is universities and them teaching this to millions of people. And so, I don't know, the next coming years is going to be interesting, but I think this is just going to be like a lifelong battle of flat versus round. Or
no, I don't see it that way. I mean, you can consider it as a battle in regards to you having to permeate this to somebody who doesn't want to understand it or believe it because they've got a religious faith. Now, I'm just here to point out what's what. We don't have two horizons. No, you don't have to like that. And many people won't. Do I realise, or do I think that I now have to take that as a fight to the universities? No. Some people do. Got Sleeping Warrior in the chat scrolling on by. He's doing precisely that. It's a very tedious, long-winded, pain-in-the-ass process. And something that I'm not interested in. Now, disseminating that to my audience as a YouTuber, yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. That's what I do for a living. And all I'm doing is disseminating the reality of the situation and using their words to do it. If they start censoring us because we're using their own rhetoric and pointing out that we can't have line of sight to something we do not see, and that is a glaring contradiction, that's just a fact. That's not going to get shut down. Why would it get? We're using their rhetoric, repeating back to them how it doesn't make sense and highlighting the fact that we only have one horizon. What, shut him down? He's saying we've only got one horizon, we've got two. There's two positions where the sky seems to meet the ground. One of them's a point in this model here. Shut him down. No, that's never going to happen. But where do we go from here? We've won. Where do we go? It's not where we go. I knew it was flat ages ago. Where do they go when they haven't gotten out for the argument? Before now, we had a draw. It's okay, we can assume we've got a model of a sphere Earth beneath our feet. I assume in R I trust. Alright, well then we've got a draw, haven't we? All I can do is point out that the begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator, and its assumed R value is farcical because it gives you super looming refractive hyenas of models of buildings beyond reified Earth curve edges. So I can just tell them how preposterous their assumption is. Well, now they can't just say, I trust in R, I just know I'm on a sphere, because we've debunked R. So we don't have to go anywhere. But the people who oppose us have got two choices. Get with the reality of their actual world, which does not have a geometric horizon by their own admission, or what? Wallow in self-pity and cognitive dissonance and pain and shout at us when they're telling us they don't have a geometric horizon and their alma mater's telling them that it's just done when they have theoretical ideas and musings about what it would be without atmosphere. When we don't have refraction, we'll draw a line of sight. Hold on. How's that work? I'm just thinking about it, mate. I'm not sucking out the atmosphere. The sky vacuum didn't work that day. We never had line of sight with this geometric horizon. There isn't one. So, you know, that's how it is. It's the end of the road for the model. Now, I know for some flat earthers, they'll say, well, what's next then? Well, nothing. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. If you didn't know that already, let me be the first to tell you. Earth is flat. It's blatantly obvious. The only time you ever get a sphere assertion is if you insert this R value. And insert it they do, absolutely everywhere, and we've debunked the R value. R value gives you a geometric horizon, and they do not have one. So it's the end of the road, end of the assumption, end of the model. The model is untenable. So what do we do? Nothing. Laugh? Have a party? I don't care.
Hear me, Nathan? Yeah. Yeah. You got to imagine that if imagine you studied something for 10, 20, 30 years every day, studied it hardcore, and then someone turns around and says, well, what you've studied is wrong, false, not true. I'm just saying, how would you feel? How would any person feel?
I see, like Newton. When Einstein came along and, to quote George Musa, snapped the wand in two. The magic force of gravity was no more because Einstein became the authority on the new bullshit. So I am the arbiter of pseudo-Ramonian force space. Ha 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 ha! The old magic of gravity acting at a distance. I will snap that wand. How dare you assume this magical force? It's the bending of a fabric. Yeah, how did he feel? I don't give a shit. It was just new bullshit explaining old bullshit and doing away, superseding old magic tricks and snapping wands in two.
No, but that's the thing, you see. If we're not considerate on how they feel, they're just going to shut down.
Oh, I've got to be considerate of their feelings. And then let me be the narrator in this little story. Then, Spurs, I'll be imagining a writer in the future. And Nathan sat with his mic in front of him and an audience of 200 people and stated that he was snapping the wand of Einstein in two and destroying it with two wand halves, one called the apparent horizon, one called the geometric horizon, and in metaphor, the globe Earth died. Yeah, we can all write these new stories of these new narratives, can't we, Spurs? How do I feel about Einstein and the geometric heliocentric religion dying? I laugh in the face of this religious rhetoric.
I feel so terrible. I mean, I was just talking to this girl over in next door around there.
Can I ask a question?
She said to me, oh, we've got science that proves gravity, right? We've got scientists. I was like, okay, so what's science? It's like, well, I don't know, but I'm sure the likelihood is that the Earth's a globe. I'm sure they've got proof and all these things. I says, okay, but how are we going to demonstrate these? So as I was saying this, I was saying, I was feeling bad because I already know I have evidence to prove it. So it's like me asking her, knowing that she's not going to be, all she's going to do is feel bad, not a demonstrate what she's claiming. I mean, initially they come in, you know, all boastful. Of course, we've got scientists, people, and the numbers. Obviously, you know, when you actually ask them, they take it as an attack for some reason. It's very bizarre. Like, if you say to them, okay, if you've got scientists who have, well, what is the science? What's the experiment? They just answer. So I feel really bad asking.
You're breaking up a little bit, Spurs. Can you hold on, Spurs? Can you drop and rejoin? You're breaking up. I'll shout a super chat while you drop and rejoin. Shout out to Big Black Swan, who says some people are receiving danger pay for having to work during this pandemic, in quotes. Which got me thinking, you deserve some danger pay for having to deal with these fundamentalist zealots each day. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Big Black Swan. I really appreciate your support. Mic check. You back? Can you get back in? Is there not enough room? Oh no. Spurs.
Yeah, there's the room.
He's a mod. He can enter in.
He'll get in, I'm sure.
So, yeah, I'll just wait till he's back.
Hey, good timing, Brian. Go ahead, 10th man.
All right. Well, Chemo is describing an everyday situation here where a person doesn't delve into a project or a subject on their own. They take the words of others. And then maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the road, because they never took the time to figure it out, but believed others, it gets debunked. And then they say, well, no way. I mean, I've been going on for 10, 15, 20 years with this belief system because I trusted those people. And so, yeah, because you can put trust in people, but if the people are lying, then you're carrying on a lie, even though you were not aware of it. But if those people did tell you the truth, then when challenged, you'll be able to overcome it because they gave you the sound arguments when they told you that teaching 10, 15 years ago. So it just seems that all the teachers about the globe and their arguments are falling apart, which means they either lied on purpose or they were lied to and they just perpetuated the lie.
Yeah, but the people who are buying the lie are in a cult. It's really difficult to unbrainwash someone in a cult because they're suffering from Stockholm syndrome. So they love their abuser. And in this instance, we say, well, you can't have gas pressure without a container. We're breathing gas pressure. The gas going in and out of your lungs is at high pressure. And if we had a sky vacuum, it wouldn't have anything to press on. It would dissipate. And they go, no, we've got NASA. And you go, no, that's not possible. So when you end the conversation, what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to go, oh, I'm really grateful for you pointing out that I've been lied to? They think, no, I'm not stupid. I haven't been lied to. So they go and ask NASA. Go and do a bit of digging around NASA and how it is possible. Maybe, like Dr. Daniel Faulkner, you do a quick Google search. How can you have gas pressure without a container? Tap, 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 tap. Oh, what's this? Oh, this looks promising. Gas pressure without a container? Oh, I'll post that in a little Facebook thread where I'm being challenged to show it. There you go. Here's a video demonstrating gas pressure without a container. And what do you know? Before you know it, you're a PhD or a doctor looking like a complete idiot, having cited a redneck fool demonstrating gas pressure gradients inside multiple containers. So, that's the way it will go if you're going to challenge this rhetoric with nonsense like PhDs do, and they're using the nonsense of the people in the trenches here. So that's the way it's going to always inevitably be for these fundy zealots.
My point, I agree 100%. I've actually been effective in helping people get out of cults. I've seen it happen right before my eyes, the denial stage. And, well, oh, my family believes this. And I said, okay, well, if it's true, then stay in it. But if it's false, what would you do? I just posed that question. They said, well, if it's false and I don't say anything, then I'm perpetuating the cultish lies that my family gave to me. And I go, right. So doesn't it, let me finish. So doesn't it,
yes.
Let me finish. Doesn't it behoove you to take personal responsibility and find out if you've been lied to or not lied to?
Yeah, and what do? So you go up to the girl, pretty girl in the cult who you've met out and about, and she says, oh yeah, I live up the road in the commune with David, and he's the guru, and the guru's telling me that, in about a week's time I'm going to have to drink all this Kool-Aid because then the aliens will come and take us away. And you go, oh, aliens aren't real. They're coming from the sky vacuum. Oh, we can't have gas pressure without a container. If there was a space for these aliens to come from, that would mean the sky was a vacuum, wouldn't it? And we wouldn't be breathing. And they go, no, David the guru wouldn't lie to me. You're an idiot. They run away back to the commune and go, David, someone told me the sky wasn't a vacuum. And David goes, no, silly little child. He was just trying to deceive you. Of course we've got a sky vacuum. How do you think they get the rockets up there? And she goes, oh yeah, of course we've got rockets, haven't we? Yeah, it doesn't matter that the same argument applies. She's just gone straight back to the cult leader and asked them. And they've lied to them with a new lie.
Right, exactly. But it's amazing that I've actually seen people do that and then come back and say, this is what they told me to answer you with. And I said, all right, well, let's take that and break it down. And then they said, man, I have to run back to my cult leader again. And for 18 weeks, this person ran to their cult leader until it was, okay, Spurs, can you just wait?
We'll get to you, Spurs. We're nearly done. We're on a roll.
I think I was on a roll. Anyway, the whole point is that those who have eyes will see, those who have ears will hear. You're not going to save everybody, is my point. But the ones who are in a little bit disturbed because you said the sky vacuum would take all the air, they're going to be bothered. You put a little seed of doubt in there. No matter how much they're being lied to when they go back to their cult leader, they have that seed. And those people will eventually come out of it, hopefully. But are you going to get everybody? No, because they keep running back to the source of the lie. Go on, Timo.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they're angry. These are angry people. when you try to talk to them about the shape of the earth, they get angry. Say to them, why are you angry? What's the real reason why you're angry? If they were being honest, they would say, well, because you've actually shown that we're not on the board, and I can't deal with that fact. But instead of doing that, they lash out. So I think a lot of the flat earthers are able to, they're in tune with their emotions of reality, how they feel, say what they feel, and the ball earthers are afraid of that, of recognizing who they are, what they're capable of, and if something's bad happened to them, they don't know how to cope with it. This is what I'm, recognizing from a lot of these ball earthers. They don't, they're not in tune with their emotion of, I'm angry, call you names because you've been able to do something that I wasn't. That's if they were being honest.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Again, a massive thank you to all of the Discord and G+. Oh, we've got someone else who's just smashed the super chat. Shout out to Retro Bill. Says, not much to say, except thanks, Nathan. Oh, well, I really, really appreciate your support, Retro Bill. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!